Okay. Yeah, I know. I got it. I got it right for him.
Both games on the SEC Network. So with that, Coach, you go.
Okay. Next up, Georgia Tech, right before the holidays, and good team. Played a really good schedule. I think they lost to St. John's, and I saw them earlier in the season. They lost to Tennessee. In Northwestern, played at Northwestern. So they played a very difficult, tough schedule. And so coming in here, I'm sure they'll be ready to play. And we're coming off the finals and finally had a game, the game in Little Rock, where we had the sluggishness to start off. Second half was much, much better. And of course, with the Georgia Tech team coming in here, good guard play, really good guard play. We're going to have to play a whole lot better. I think the game's going to be a little physical game. They want to play mid-tempo to a half-court game, and they mix up their defenses. So our guys are going to really have to be alert in terms of knowing what they're in defensively, and at the same time, I want to see us impose our will on the opponents. I think in the last couple of games we played at other team pace, and of course now that comes back to the effort and the execution, and we've got to be better in those departments.
Yeah, Mike, what you just said specifically, what do you guys need to do to get the tempo more to your liking?
I think defensively we've got to be engaged. I think our defense got to help positions, got to be in position, and I just think the overall effort. We got to come up with those loose balls. I mean, we're making stops, but the second, teams are getting offensive rebounds, or we're the last game we had a bunch of turnovers. That's execution. You got to value the basketball and take care of the basketball. We started the game off with 2 turnovers, and that's kind of sloppiness. But when we're dialed in and we're executing defensively and moving offensively, motion offense where we really getting the ball from side to side and creating, getting some ball screens, getting Daniel in there because the double teams are coming. And so we got to get people slashing to the hole, cut to the hole hard. So we got to get back to, making teams work on defense. That means you got to execute offensively. And then on the defensive part, we got to make them work as well and not be predictable. I think we've been predictable in what we do.
Looking at the film, did Chaney back up what you saw and what the stats showed?
Yes, he did. I mean, he was everywhere. I mean, he was defensively touching balls, getting in the lanes. He was the energizer in that game. Just did a lot of good things for us. He was the finisher off guys' penetration, getting it inside. He was getting offensive rebounds. He was everywhere on the floor, guarding guards, guarding forwards, guarding the centers, if you want to speak, and he was really engaged in running the floor. And he got tired out there, so we got to get more effort just like that from other guys as well.
Mike, would you consider starting Reggie, or do you kind of like what he brings off the bench, or how do you feel about that?
Well, see, he's a starter in my mind, Bob. He's a starter in my mind. Whether they called his name out, he started. He played 28 minutes. That's the most he's played, and you look at the productivity that he brought to the table. So I think that's a big plus for us. Whether he starts or come off the bench, to me, in my mind, he's a starter.
Adriel's had a couple of rough games. What are you expecting from him, and kind of how do you maybe get him back to playing like he was?
We got a couple days in practice. We'll see.
Is there something in particular that you need from him that he hadn't been giving you the last?
Well, I mean, you think about what kind of player Adriel is. Adriel's an energy guy. He's an effort guy, and so his effort's got to be at a high level. Of course, he's worked on his game to get better offensively, but what he brings to the table is a level of toughness, athletic ability, defensive mindset, one of the older guys. And so, but still yet, I think just the energy that he brings to the table, I think he's got to be consistent with it.
I know this is a different team, different situation, but when Coach Pastner was at Memphis, he had made comments about not wanting to play Arkansas. How did this game come about with him when the Memphis thing couldn't work out because of the border stuff?
Well, you said it at the first one. You just said he's at Georgia Tech now, so they needed a game, we needed a game, and it's a home-and-home series.
Jalen Harris, with all he's doing, I know you don't want him to shoot a lot, but I guess he's 2 of 21 on threes, and a couple times they just backed off and let him shoot. Is that a concern at all, or just trying to improve his, where he can?
I just think he's got to, shoot it with confidence when he shoots it. I think he's a little hesitant right now. I mean, he's wide open, and so that's what they're giving him. He knocked down a couple pull-up shots, but he also got to knock down the three-point shot. I think he can knock it down. It's just a matter of confidence, just shooting it and shooting it in rhythm. I think he's kind of hesitant right now, so I'm sure he'll correct that.
Yeah, I guess going back to Reggie, when he shares the floor with Dan, I guess just defensively, what kind of an impact have you seen those two guys make together?
You got some athletic forwards. I mean, even with Adriel, you have that kind of athletic, the forwards in that position, quick forwards that is, and Reggie's a good passer too, and I think we're starting to see that whether it be an open floor, whether it be the high-low. He had a nice shovel pass to Dave, to Gabe the other day. He penetrated and gave it to Gabe. So he just brings a good awareness, offensively, but defensively is what I really like because he's not afraid, and that's what you want. You want guys that are not afraid to get in there and mix it up, rebound the basketball, being active on traps. He deflects a lot of passes. So again, when he's in there, he's engaged.
Mike, you guys, I guess, are 5th in the nation in block shots per game. Obviously, Daniel's a big part of that, but it's not just him. Reggie's got 15 blocks. Adriel's got 13. I think Gabe's got 5. What have you been surprised at? I mean, if somebody told you a few games in you'd be leading or you'd be 5th nationally in block shots per game, what would you have said to that?
Well, I always think part of defense is defending the rim. We're a team that's going to make people attack us, and so you got to have some rim protection in there. And whether that be, we got some athletic guys that are versatile, long, they got good timing, so they're in position, and that's what you get. But you also got guys not taking charges as well. So now I think that makes us even more effective when we do it. The other night you wouldn't know that because those guys were laying it up in the first half. I thought in the second half we did a much better job of really, when those guys penetrated and got in the lanes, we kind of clogged it up a little bit and had a couple of block shots. But we got some athletic guys, and so hopefully that continues because that's a big part of a defense, contesting shots without fouling.
Especially Daniel, what do you think of him? He's probably one of the best shot blockers Arkansas has ever had, I would think.
He's gotten better. Last year, he was attempting to block some shots, but he got in foul trouble a lot. So this year, I think he's doing a much better job of squaring up and really just going straight up and blocking some shots. But then again, you look at the guys that are pressuring out on the perimeter. I think they're doing a good job of channeling those guys in there, and so he's doing what he's supposed to do.
For a team like you guys that likes to extend defense with your wing players and your guards, how good is it to have that rim protection you're talking about?
It helps, and I think that's a big part of what you can go out there and extend the pressure because you got some guys back there, but you want to do it in a way where you make it difficult for them to even penetrate because that's the hardest thing to cover is dribble penetration. But in the event they do, you still want to be in the picture because if that big guy comes up to help you block shots, then you got to dig down in there and come up with that loose ball because 9 times out of 10 they're going to drop a bounce pass or a pass to the next guy. So we got to be anticipating the next play or the next pass.
Mike Haywood said that Jalen leads the nation in turnover assist ratio. Did you see any of that kind of potential when you saw film of him in New Mexico when he came here?
Well, I just saw a guy that could create for others. I thought he's pretty crafty with the basketball. He's quick. He can get where you want to go. And of course, now you're playing in an open court setting now, and he does a lot of damage in the open floor. And he doesn't over dribble. He don't play with the basketball. So I think that's good. He can see, and when you got guys that can see and make good decisions, and he got pretty good options. When you got Isaiah Joe who's knocking shots down, and as I said, and Daniel's finishing up there. He's getting Reggie involved. He's getting everybody involved. But he's taking care of it, and I think about Lee Mayberry. Lee Mayberry was a guy that probably could play in 10 to 12 games and not have one turnover. And this guy's doing some of those things that he's valuing the basketball. That's a good thing.
Mike, with Arkansas's the athletic department policy change about playing UALR and UAPB. Could you envision playing one of those teams in North Little Rock in the future, or is that something that's even been talked about?
Obviously, just I think they talked about the teams being in our system, and I think baseball did it this year, right? Correct. And it may be on down the line, but right now it's with this team here, I can't see that far down the line. I'm right now. I'm seeing this next game, Bob. That's Georgia Tech.
Well, when you look at Tech, it looks like they got pretty good balance play, quite a few guys. Kind of what's your take on them as a team overall?
I think it's a good team. I think it's a really good team. They got, transferred the Banks kid in there that was at Texas. We played against him, the big kid there. The Alvarado kid, I mean, he's probably one of the all ACC type players for them. And they've got some good young players coming in there as well. So, like I said, they got balanced scoring. They're going to play about 8, 9 guys, and Josh does a good job of mixing and matching with his team. So it's a team that has good guard play. They got good forwards. So I think it's a good matchup. It's a good game, good matchup.
What did you see from them playing Tennessee?
Oh, I saw those guys. I thought they handled Tennessee defense pretty good. Their pressure is pretty good. They rebound the basketball. They didn't shoot it particularly well. And of course, Tennessee was playing at home. But they were right there with them, tick for tack. It was early in the year. I think it was like maybe the second or third game of the season. But they were tick for tack with them. And obviously we know Tennessee is one of the better teams in the country, returning everybody back. So he's got a young team. Josh has a young team, but I really believe that it's going to be a good game. Two good teams.
You're playing at Texas Tech later in the Big 12 Challenge, but this is going to be your last Power 5 opponent opportunity before you start SEC play. How big is that? And for these kind of games, what it can mean for March and things like that?
Well, it's an ACC team, and we hadn't had an ACC team. I don't know when the last time we had one in here. So if you're talking about from that standpoint, but I just think every team we play, I mean, if you look at the games we played, even Texas San Antonio, good basketball team. And so, but they're from the ACC, and obviously people look at the name, the ACC, and Georgia Tech has a lot of tradition. It's to me, it's more like some of the teams we're going to keep playing once we get into January and into conference play. So I think it's a good game from that standpoint that we're playing a quality team, and I think all the teams we play are quality teams. So it's a big game for us. Thank you, guys. Okay.